Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. So this is the part 2 of the chapter Accruals and Prepayments of F3 ACCA. So before watching this video, you should watch the part 1, and if you haven't watched it yet, you can check the description box below. I have linked the playlist and I have also linked the part 1 of this chapter. In this video, we will be finishing the chapter Accruals and Prepayments. So the rules remain the same. Make sure you have a pen, a paper and a calculator. If you will not write what we are learning, then there is no point of watching this video. So I'm assuming that you have watched the part 1 and let's begin. So in the part 1, we saw the journal entries and we learned how to make the expenses, and now we know what prepaid expenses are or prepaid expenditures are, and we know what accrued expenditures are. Yeah, so we had two types of expenditures, accrued and prepaid. We know that prepaid is an asset, which means it increases the profit, and we know that accrued is a liability and it decreases the profit, and we know the journal entries as well. So let's start with the expense account. So this is the ledger account, this is the expense account, and we all know that left side is the debit side and right side is the credit side. So take a moment to understand the ledger. I will explain it to you. Make sure that you are writing it down. We have an expense account. So you just need to learn the format of these accounts. There is no easy way. Just learn and understand the format. It's gonna be easy. So this is the expense account, and we know what expenditure or expense is. What is expense? What is the balance of expense? Think about it. We know what is expense, right? So now let's start with the balancing, or let's start with how you are going to start your account. So the first and foremost thing, whenever you are making an expense account, the left side balance is always going to be opening prepaid. Just remember that. This is the format. It's going to be opening prepaid. And towards the end, this is going to be the closing prepaid. Okay? Opposite sides. Opening prepaid is in the left side and closing prepaid is in the right side. So just write that. Always remember that. So we have balance, we have CF. So this is going to be closing prepaid. Okay? So that's how it's going to start. And then we will see the other side. So this side is my opening prepaid. So this side will be my accrued. Again, we have the same thing, balance BF, and our balance BF is nothing but opening accrued this time. And the same thing follows again on the opposite side. We're going to write the closing accrued. Okay, again balance CF, and I hope you're writing it along with me. Closing accrued. And what else is left? So we make an expense account. We have a debit side, we have a credit side. Left side or debit side, the balance is always opening prepaid, which means we are going to cross it and we will get the closing prepaid. And on the opposite side we have accrued. So yeah, now what else will come here? We have bank over here. So what is bank? Basically how much ever amount you have paid during the year, total amount which you have paid during the year, amount paid during the year. So how much ever amount you have paid during the year, that will come on the bank side. Just a second. Okay, and the other side we will be having a P&L. This is basically our total expense. How much of expense took place in this year? So what is the difference between P&L and bank? Bank is basically how much ever amount went out, even if it belongs to this year or not. We don't care about that. Whatever went out of our business, we will write that. P&L, you remember the accrual basis, includes what expense actually belongs to this year. That's it. This is our expense account. Easy. This is really easy. You just have to make it 2-3 times. If you make it 2-3 times, you will be able to remember the format. So we have an expense account, and on the debit side the balance is opening prepaid, cross it down, and the opposite side we have closing prepaid, and then we'll make on the right side opening accrued, closing accrued. On left side we have bank, which is the total amount paid, and P&L, which is the total expense of the year. Pause the video right here and make the expenditure account by yourself. So that is our expense account, and we know that whatever balancing is here, we will bring it forward to the next year. Whatever balancing is here, we will bring it forward to the next year. Let's move on. So that's our expense account. Easy. These are the notes. So there may be a debit balance brought forward. So a debit balance is opening prepayment. Credit balance, we know that it is an accrual, right? That's what we learned. And then these are the notes. So basically these are just explaining whatever is there. That is, if there is an accrual at the end of the year, this is debited to the expense. Okay, that is the closing accrual and closing prepayment. So we are clear with the entire expense account. I hope you have written this. That's what they have explained in the notes. So you can read it. Let's start with our questions. So we have test your understanding 3. Now, this question, we have to basically make an expense account and solve the question. We'll do it together. Now we know the entire format. Right. Now let's see. On 1st January 2005, Willie owed $2,000 in respect of previous year's electricity. That means it is Willie's accrued expenditure, because she did not pay for the previous year. That means it is accrued, right? Willie made the following payments during the year. So these are the payments Willie has made, which means this will go in our bank, right? These are all the payments she has made this year, be it whether this is of this year or not. This amount is what Willie has given from her bank. She has paid this year. Okay. At 31st December 2005, Willie calculated that he owed 1,800 in respect of electricity for the last part of the year. Okay. So this is our, again, accrual. He owed this much for this year. So in this year also he owes this much. In the previous year he owed this much. Which means that, what is this? This is my accrual and this is also my accrual. But this is in the beginning of the year. So since the 2000 is in the beginning of the year, it is my opening accrual, right? And what about my 1800? This is at 31st December. This is during the end of the year. So it is my closing accrual. And we know that this is the bank. So we have to find the P&L, which will be a balancing figure. Try solving it by yourself. I will also do it for you. So we have an expense account. I hope you're doing it by yourself. We know that this is opening prepaid, and we know that crossover, this is the closing prepaid. We know that this is the opening accrual, and we know that this is the closing accrual. We know that this is bank, whatever has gone out of the bank this year. This is the P&L, which is a balancing figure, but this shows the exact expenditures which belongs to this year. Let's go back to the question. So we have 2000 of previous year's electricity. So this is my opening year balance. This is my opening accrual. So let me just write that 2000. What else do we have in the question? So Willie has paid this. So I'm going to add all this and I'm going to write it in my bank. So 2800, 3000 plus 2750 plus 3100, 11650. So 11650 is what went out of Willie's bank, right? She has paid this much, so I will write that 11650. Okay, what else is given in the question? On 31st December, she or he calculated that 1800 is left. So 1800 was my closing accrual, right? That's it. So in the question, prepaid is not given, so it is 0. Now let's just do the balancing. 13450. Here also it will be 13450. And what is the value of PNL? 13450 minus 2000, which is 11450. So that is my answer, which is 11450. So B is my answer, 11450. I hope you got it. I hope it's clear, and I hope you are doing it by yourself. So you know that bank means it's the cash basis. Whatever goes out of the bank, even if it does not belong to this year, we will show it. PNL, what is PNL? It is accrual basis, which means whatever belongs to this year, that is going out. Okay. Okay, now we are starting with income. Let me give you a minute. Try to read this. Okay, now that we have done expense, incomes will become easy for you. So you know what expense is, when money is going out basically, and what income is, something you are receiving, right? So let us start with our income the same way we did for expenditures. Let's understand incomes now. So we have incomes. There are two types of incomes. The first one is accrued income, and the second one is prepaid income. Income is something which we are receiving, right? We are receiving. So tell me one thing. If someone is prepaying income to us, someone paid me fee. Let's say I take tuitions and I'm taking fees. Someone paid next year's fees also this year only. Does it mean that I can use it however I want to? If I do not take their classes next year, they can ask for a refund, and I'll be liable to give them back their money because they haven't yet taken the services of the next year. So when someone prepays me, then that becomes my liability, right? The same way, let's talk about accrued income. I took tuitions for you. I took tuitions this whole year. Okay, let's say I took tuitions in Jan, Feb, March for you. It's April, but you haven't yet paid me the fees of Jan, Feb, March. I have already given you the services for Jan, Feb, March, but you haven't paid me yet. So that is my accrued income, which means I deserve the income. I have to get the income because I have provided the services. That means it is an asset for me. Got it? Understood the difference? Relate it with the expenditure. Think about how we did the expenditure, then it will be easy for you. Right? Okay. Now, let's talk about that. Since your prepaid income is a liability, so what happens when it's a liability? It reduces the profit in the P&L. And since accrued is an asset, it increases the profit. No doubt about this. So now relate this with the expense one, you will be clear with it. Just don't try to by heart anything, just understand the concept and you'll be good to go. So that's it. Let's now see the journal entries. Even that's going to be easy. So we know that accrued income is my asset and prepaid income is my liability. Okay, so what will my journal entry be? Accrued income is my asset. So I'm going to debit it. Assets balance is always debit. So debit accrued income and credit income. What about the prepaid income? It's my liability. So I will credit prepayment or prepaid income and debit the income. I hope you understood. Now just try to relate it with the journal entries of expense. What was the journal entry of accrued expense? Accrued expense. What was the journal entry? Debit expenses, credit accrued expenditure. Right, because accrued expenditure is my liability. Now what about accrued income? Is that my liability? No. Accrued income is my asset because it means that I have given the services but I haven't received the money yet. Got it? Now that's what is income. There's nothing new in this. This is just the opposite of expenditure, and we have an income account. So the income account will also be the opposite of the expenditure account. Let's quickly go about that also. Let's make an income account now. Before that, I hope you have made the expense account. So let's make the income account now. Okay, so this is my ledger account, this is the debit side and this is the credit side. What we have to do is, as usual, we are going to start with balance BF. Okay, what was balance BF in your expense? What was balance BF? This was prepaid. So in income, this will be accrued. Opening accruals. Okay. But everything else, the concept remains same when I say that it should go here. So closing would be closing accruals would be over here. Okay, now so since accruals is on the left side, then prepaid will be on the right side, right? So we have opening prepaid. And we can have the closing one on the other side. We know that here. This is how you're gonna make the account. Balance. Closing prepaid. This is a balance too. What else is left? So if you can recall, for expense, we had the bank side here and the P&L side here. But it will be the opposite in income. We'll have the P&L and bank will be over here. So we know that also. So why am I writing this way? When I have an income, what happens in the bank? Whenever money comes in, whenever you receive the income, the bank account increases, which means it gets debited. That's why we have written it here. So I hope you understood the difference now. Let's quickly go and see the expense. In expense, the debit side has opening prepaid and credit side has opening accrued, and we have bank here, P&L here, and the opposite happens in income. We have the accrued over here and prepaid over here, P&L over here, bank over here. It's the opposite. So right now it might be a bit confusing, but if you keep making these formats, and it will be very easy for you to remember. Don't worry about that. It's just the opposite. And now we are done with the journal entries also. Let's quickly go and do the questions. So the notes, these are basically just the notes. These are basically just the notes regarding the, this. So I hope you can do it by yourself. Let's do the questions though. Okay. A business earns bank interest income of 300 per month. 3000 bank interest income has been received. Okay, so the business gets 3000 per month. So how much interest does it receive per annum? Think about it. It should be 300 into 12. So per annum it should be 300 into 12, which is nothing, which is 3600. So Per annum, the business is supposed to receive 3,600. But how much did the business receive? 3,000 bank interest income has been received. Only 3,000 has been received, but they actually had to receive 3,600, which means they have accrued income because they're supposed to receive 3,600, but they have received only 3,000. That is what? Accrued income. So now tell me, what is the journal entry of accrued? Think about it. What is accrued income? Accrued income is my asset or liability? Accrued income is my asset. So we'll write accrued income. Account gets debited and accrued bank interest income basically, and credit income by how much? 600 by 600. Why 600? Because she received only 3,000 but she had to receive 3,600, so 600 is her accrued income. How else can you write it? Debit accrual, debit accrued income, credit income. So debit accrued interest income and credit interest income. Interest income. So I hope this is clear. Let's move on. Okay, so the ledger accounts, you know how to make the ledger accounts. If you know the journal entries, you can make the journal, you can make the ledger account. So now let's come to prepaid income. We all know what prepaid income is. And is prepaid income an asset to us? Yes, it is an asset. So what is the journal entry of prepaid income? We know that since it prepaid income is, sorry. Just a second. Let me correct myself again. Yeah. So prepaid expense is an asset to me. Prepaid income is a liability. Income is something which I am receiving. So as we have discussed, what is prepaid income? Prepaid income is a liability to my business, right? But prepaid expense is an asset because I am paying to someone. Income is when I am receiving something, so it is my liability. So credit, prepaid income, debit income. Prepaid income is my liability and balances of liabilities are credit. Illustration: a business rents out a property at an income of 4,000 per month. So 4,000 per month. So what is the rent per year? 4,000 multiplied by 12 for the entire year, right? If it's 4,000 for 1 month, so 4,000 multiplied by 12 is for the entire year. 4,000 multiplied by 12, which is 48,000, right? Give me a second. Okay, so what is that? 4,000 multiplied by 12, which is 48,000. So my pen is not working. So for the entire year, I need 48,000. So my entire year's value is 48,000. Okay, 64,000 has been received in the year. For the entire year, the income I had to receive was 48,000, but I have received 64,000, which means it is my prepaid income. Someone has prepaid income for the next year also. So they have given me 64, but they actually had to give me only 48,000. So how much is my prepaid income? 64,000 minus 48,000, right? 64,000 minus 48,000. How much is that? 16,000. So 16,000 is my prepaid income. Prepaid income is my liability. So what is the journal entry? Rent gets debited and prepaid rents gets credited. Credit prepaid rent, prepaid income or prepaid rent with how much? 16,000. That is what they also did from So in the bank they have received this much, but what was my prepaid income? 16,000. P&L is my balancing. Okay. So this is our T-shaped income account, which is our ledger account, which we have already discussed. This is our test your understanding 4. Let's quickly do this, then we'll be done with the chapter. Okay. Libby Farquhar received income from 2 rental units as followed. So Libby had 2 units, or let's say 2 houses or 2 buildings. So the first one is unit 1 and the second one is unit 2. Okay. So these are the rents he has received. So we need to find out the value in the P&L for the year ended 31st December. Okay. So first understand the question carefully. We have the period. Okay. For this period, he received this much on this date. On the date he received is also given, and on this date for which period he has received, that period is also given here. So I hope you understood how to read the question first. Now let's start with the question, and I hope you're doing it along with me. Start making the accounts. So let's make 2 separate accounts, one for unit 1 and one for unit 2. Let's start with unit 1. Okay. So let's start with unit 1. So I am making an account for the income which we are receiving from unit 1 first. Okay. So we all remember the formula of income account, right? So what comes here? We get the opening prepaid on the credit side. So we get the opening prepaid over here. We know that now. And we get the closing prepaid over here. This is the closing prepaid. This is closing. And we get the P&L this side for the income. You remember that. And we get bank this side. And we get opening accrued over here, and we get opening closing accrued over here. Now let's start with the question. What do we have exactly? Okay, read the question carefully. Let's ignore the unit 2 right now. Let's see the unit 1 only. For the period of 2014, we got on 2014. We are making the books for 2015. So will we take the first statement into consideration? We are receiving something for the year of 2014. We have received it in 2014 only. So that will be something I am recording in my 2014's book. So it will not be recorded in my 2015 book. So I am going to ignore my first statement. Clear? Let's go to the second one now. For the period of 1115 to 15, we received in 14 itself. So this cash we received, this 2150, which belongs to this year 2015, we have already received it in the previous year. We received it in the 2014. So this year we will not be receiving it because someone has already prepaid it. Someone has already prepaid 2150. So that is my prepaid income. So this year I will not be getting the cash, but because this has been paid in the previous year. So what does that mean? That means that is my prepaid from the previous year. Someone prepaid it to me previous year, which means this year what happens? This year it is my opening prepaid, right? So I will write that 2150 is my opening prepaid. Oh, I forgot to make a column over here. Let me just make it like this. I hope you're doing it by yourself and you won't be confused even if my work is not really neat. Okay, the next one. For the period 1/4/2005 to 2005, we received in 2005. So this came into my bank. This belongs to this year and we received in this year only. So this comes into my bank. No doubt. So bank, we got another 2150. So this is for my bank. Okay. Next one. For another 2005, we received in 2005. So 2200 came to the bank again. No doubt. Again. Fine. Next one. For a period belonging in 2005, we got in 2005. Again 2200 we got this year and the period also belongs to this year only. So again we have 2200. Let's see if anything is left. The last year. Okay, for the period belonging in 2006, we got in 2005. So what is this? Someone has given me extra money this year, something which does not belong to this year. So someone has prepaid the income. Someone has prepaid me something which belongs to 2016. He gave me this year only. So that is my prepaid again. But they have given for the next year, which means it is my closing prepaid. So 2200 will be my closing P. Here I will write 2200. Okay, this is the closing prepaid. That's it. Do we have anything else in the question? We have nothing at all. So let's do the balancing. So opening accrued is nothing in the question and closing accrued is also nothing. So let's just do the balancing. What is the total this side? We have 10,900 and this side we have just 2,200. So let's do the balancing and P&L is always the balancing. So it is 8,700. This is our unit 1. I hope it's clear. Now let's make, okay, I hope it's clear. Now let's make a unit 2 now. Okay. Now we are making the account for unit 2. We all know how to make the ledger now. So let me just make it. Debit, credit. We know that this side is the opening prepaid for incomes. And here we have the closing prepaid. And we have opening accrued over here. We have closing accrued over here. And we have bank here and we have P&L here. This is for the incomes. We know that. Let's go back to our question and see. Okay, let me erase it. So things stay the same for the first transaction. Something belonging to 2004 has been given in 2004. This has nothing to do with 2005 or 2015. So let's ignore the first one. Nothing. Okay. Give me a second. Let's read the question again. Tell me if I was wrong. We have to ignore unit 1 now. We are only seeing unit 2. Something belonging to 2014 was received in 2015. So they have already taken our services, but they are paying us late. That means it is my accrued income. It's an asset. Why? Because they took the services in 2014, but they have not paid until it was 2015, which means it is my accrued income. So this was of the previous year. So this will be my opening accrued, which is 1,300. 1,300. Fine. Next one. 115. Okay, 2005 or 15, whatever. 2015 to this period he got on 15. So 1,300 he got this year in the bank. Fine. 1,300 bank. 15 he got in 15. So again 1,300 bank. I hope you're understanding why we're doing what we're doing. 5 he received in 1,400. Again, fine. Belongs to the same period, received in the same period. Next. 5 received in 16. So this money belongs to this year only, but he did not receive this year. He received in the next year. So they are taking the services this year, but they will give it to you in the next year. That means it is my asset, it is my accrued income, right? So accrued income 1400. It will be my closing because it belongs to the next year. Okay. Let's go and see next. Okay. 116, something which belongs to 2016 received in 2016. So this is something which will not matter here. Why? Because this belongs to the next year and we are receiving it also in the next year, so we will not show it in the books. Okay. Now let's see our answer once. Let's quickly recheck our unit 2. So here something belonging to 2014 we received now. We received in the bank 1300. Okay. So we received bank 1300. Next. 1515 we received 1300. 1515 we received 1300. So that also we have right. 1515 1300. Another 1300. So we missed writing one 1300. So I hope you got what I'm trying to say. We received this 1300 this year, this also this year, this also this year. That's it. So we have no prepaid given in the question. So nothing else is given in the question. Let's do the balancing quickly. I hope your answers are matching with mine. 6700 will be on both sides. Balancing figure is P&L, which would be 5400. Take a moment and match it with yours. Now let us check the question. What is the rental income in the statement of profit and loss for the year ended 2005? So what is coming in the profit and loss for the year 2015? Okay. Let's also match it with their answer. They got 8700 plus 5400. And what did we get? We got 8700 of unit 1 plus 5400. How much is that? Let me add 88,700 plus 5400. 14100. We are getting 14100. How much are they getting? 14100. So our answer is correct. So the answer is D. So that's it. We are done with the chapter. I hope you understood the chapter. Make sure that you watch the video again in case you did not understand and try to solve the question by yourself. I keep repeating that, but otherwise there is absolutely no point. So I hope you understood the concept, and check out my description and you can check out other playlists and the other chapters and also the exam kit solutions. Thank you.